Here with Bob Chavez of the NLL Insider. We're here on a Friday afternoon here in the Knighthawks team store, 2 days after the blockbuster trade that sent John Grant Jr., Mac Allen, and 2 first-rounders to Colorado for Matt Vince, Matt Zash, a third-rounder and a first-rounder. Bob, you've had a couple days to kind of think about the trade. First of all, were you surprised to learn of the details of the transaction?
I was a little surprised. You kind of figured, if you follow the game at all, you hear rumblings here and there, so you kind of figured it was coming. But then once you hear that it finally went down, you're a little surprised, especially the magnitude of it all. So yeah, I was a little surprised.
Now let's just break down the trade for both teams. You can address Colorado first. They get John Grant Jr., and then we'll move on to the Knighthawks, who get Matt Vince.
Colorado, I think will definitely benefit from the addition of John Grant Jr. Any team would, but especially Colorado, knowing the struggles they went through last year, especially on offense and the power play. I believe they were at or near the bottom of the league in both categories. So anytime you can bring a stick like John Grant to a team, especially a team that's in the position Colorado is in, I think they'll definitely benefit. And John does more than score goals too. He does what coaches say great players do. He makes people around him better. So he'll score goals, but he sets guys up too. So I definitely see Colorado benefiting from this.
And then the Rochester Knighthawks, they get a young goalie like Matt Vince.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see that. You figure if John Grant was going to be the one who was going to be moved from Rochester, it would have to be for a top-notch goalie, and that's exactly what happened. But Vince, obviously, I mean, what can you say about him? You just look at the numbers. He's played, I think, at least 900 minutes the last 2 seasons, and then close to 900 this season, 3 seasons ago. He's a rock. I mean, he's proven himself to be one of the best, if not the best, in the game today. So for Rochester to get a goaltender like that, who isn't even 30 years old yet, just really sets it up nicely for the future.
And then, one of the guys I forgot, and most people might not think about, is they also got the rights to Brad Self. But they also got Matt Zash, who some people may overlook. You may know him from Team USA in the field game. What type of player should Nighthawk fans expect to see out on the floor?
I think with both of those guys, either one of those guys are pretty interchangeable. They bring the same type of game, which is really, as it would apply to the indoor game, speed. One of the things I think Rochester kind of struggled with last year was the transition game and people getting up and down. And there was a couple of guys doing that for Rochester, but I think you need more than a couple of guys to keep that flow going and stuff like that. So those 2 guys will definitely add that element and hopefully bring a little bit of help to that middle of the floor.
Here with Bob Chavez of the NLL Insider. And Bob, let's talk about training camps coming up November 20th. A lot of new faces, not only Vince Zash, but you also have Jordan Hall, Micah Kersey, Cody Jamieson, and a handful of other draft picks that could be impact players this year.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting from my perspective. Last year, the talk about Rochester was, is the ball big enough for all the offense they had? And in my opinion, they've got even more to deal with even this year, even with John Grant not being in camp. Like you said, you got Sean Williams, you got the Evans brothers. Scott, struggled a little last year with the knee, but this summer, if you saw him play at all in Peterborough, he put up some great numbers. He's got his confidence back, and he's running around pretty good. But you've got, like you say, Cody. You've got Jordan Hall, Jarrett Davis.
Jarrett Davis.
Jarrett Davis. I get him confused. Jarrett Davis. He's a real deal for anyone who hasn't paid much attention to the West Coast stuff. He put up some pretty good numbers out there. So it's going to be real interesting to see how all of that kind of sorts itself out. And Mike Hasten, the new coach, he's got some real tough decisions to make.
You think Kurt Stiers has been the owner since June 2008. What, as someone from the outside looking in, what kind of impact do you think he's had on this franchise and the community so far?
I think it's been nothing but positive. I mean, I've met with Kurt a few times to talk with him. He's got a real passion and desire to win, no matter what the game is that he's involved with. Whether it's the Amerks and hockey, the Knighthawks and lacrosse, or even the auto racing stuff that he's involved with. I mean, he wants to win, and he does it the right way too. He's not cutting corners. He understood when he came here that what kind of a challenge he was up against and what he was left to work with. And it hasn't happened overnight, but he's putting the pieces together, and it looks like things are really coming together. And it's just, like we talked about just a minute or two ago, with all the talent that's being assembled for the Knighthawks roster, if the talent is there, and if it can somehow mesh together and get to be gelling and work together, I mean, I think the Knighthawks have a real bright future as early as this coming season.
All right, thank you.